what can a kettle teach us about a big barrier to making positive change within ourselves? Well, I'm going to tell you, so don't get too excited now. Hold on. So, one of the big challenges that we encounter when trying to establish habits and be consistent with habits that we hope will lead us to positive change is that as changes are happening on a micro level, it's rare that our perception perfectly mirrors those changes. So most often, we're not totally aware of the changes that are going on in real time. We might hit a certain threshold at some point, and at that time, suddenly our perception shifts, sometimes dramatically. It can feel like changes happen overnight, for better or for worse. So that's very much like a kettle, and I'll tell you why. When I want to make coffee or tea, I put the kettle with water in it on the stove, and I turn on the burner usually high. So I have the heat, I have the effort that is consistently going into this kettle. However, it doesn't boil right away. The water isn't at the temperature I want it to be at after a minute, after 2 minutes, after 3 minutes. Sometimes it barely seems like it's changing. The perception has not caught up to the underlying work that's going on. There is adaptation and change taking place, but until it hits a certain threshold, I'm not ready to make coffee. I'm not ready to make tea. Now, being a keen kettle user, I know not to turn off the burner, right? I'm not going to just turn it off because it hasn't boiled yet. No, you know what? Forget it. I'll try again tomorrow. No, I'm going to keep it running because I have faith and I've learned that when I keep that going consistently, eventually the water is going to get hot enough. And that's very much like humans and human adaptation. We don't often perceive what is going on a micro level. It does not mean adaptation and change is not happening. And that can go in a positive and negative direction. So for years, we might be treating ourselves or our body in a way that is creating non-ideal adaptation. And it's not till we hit a certain threshold that suddenly we have pain and think, oh, what did I do yesterday? Or what did I do last week that made my elbow hurt or my shoulder hurt? More often than not, it's an accumulation of adaptation that has led us to a certain threshold at which our perception now catches up suddenly. The cool thing is it happens the other way too. So as we establish habits, we can be really consistent for a while and not notice change, and suddenly, whoa, we notice something. And that can be a big challenge as well, because starting and being consistent with habits is a good challenge enough. When we're not getting that positive reinforcement via perception of positive changes, it can be tough to stick with it. But if you can have the same faith in yourself and your ability to adapt as you do in your kettle and your burner, good things will happen. And another reason I really like this analogy is that the intensity of the flame and of your effort does not have to be consistent to make progress. So if I want this to eventually hit a certain temperature and I have the flame on high for 3 minutes, and then I put it on low for 1 minute, and then I put it on medium for 3 minutes, and then I put it on low, eventually it's still going to reach that temperature. And maybe I've conserved some gas. Same with some of our habits. We don't have to have our burner on high all the time in order to make positive changes. In fact, that's probably going to prevent us from making ideal progress. We won't have the resources to adapt fully. So taking some time off, taking lower intensity days can help, whether we're looking for physical or mental adaptations. So I just want to repeat, when you're establishing new habits, give the water time to heat up. Have faith in your habits and your ability to adapt. Things are happening. Have the same faith in yourself as you do in your kettle. And as always, don't forget to smile.